Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Samantha if you are new here, and I thought today's video would be outside, and I wanted to jump actually right into it. And if you have an opinion on this matter, I would really like to hear from you. I wanted to talk about hypersexuality in our culture. Now, many of my videos have kind of explained a little bit about hypersexuality and kind of the stigma around it, and kind of not involving that stigma in hypersexuality. In a nutshell, hypersexuality is a form of OCD. OCD is a neurological disorder, and it is any type of compulsion or disorder, or pretty much any type of obsession is due to not having any control over an environment or person. So hypersexuality really doesn't have anything to do with the act of sex itself. It has to do with the false feeling of intimacy and a feeling of closeness without being emotionally vulnerable with someone else. So any kind of compulsive disorder is viewed as an attempt to kind of, it's an indication that your environment or you yourself feel very unpredictable. Usually it has a lot to do with life stress or physical or sexual abuse, but for the most part, any kind of disorder, and I'm going to use that in quote unquote because disorders are usually an attempt to regulate your nervous system. So I think that there is a really big stigma around hypersexuality, but at the same time our culture has a lot of hypersexual tendencies. I see a lot of couples not really lasting for long terms. There's also been studies that polyamory has increased. I'm not saying that these things are wrong, but I'm just also looking at the facts of how relationships are moving towards. So I think that OCD in general really plays a role in how a person feels about their personal power or personal empowerment. Also, any kind of sexual disorder or OCD also plays a role in a person and how they feel quote unquote rejected. So when a person feels rejected, it kind of moves them into a space of they're not able to control them, like another person, and how they perceive that, like how other people perceive you. So a lot of people that have been rejected kind of fall into these traits of compulsive disorders. And this can be not just hypersexuality, but it can also due to like gambling or alcohol. So this is a positive intent to regulate your own self and your own being. But I also want to point out that people that kind of fall into these disorders often feel very rejected as a person. Now, I also wanted to point it out that people that feel rejected, it doesn't necessarily have to do with your worth or how you are as a person. People such as like Eminem, the rapper, was rejected for a long period of time, and he is, in my opinion, a really great rapper. So rejection really doesn't have anything to do with you as a person. So I think that hypersexuality in our culture is an indication that we as people really have an issue with rejection, and not seeing the value that we have outside of sexuality. And it also is an indication that people don't know how to be emotionally vulnerable with other people. And this is the case across the board. Addiction and types of mental illness have very much increased. And what I've seen in America, people are generally very separated. They generally don't do things together. People don't live in large groups. So it really tells me that people have a really big issue with rejection and how they feel about themselves. So I would like to do a little exercise, actually. So let's say a person rejects you, let's say with the way that you look, right? Having that type of rejection will oftentimes be very, in a nervous system perspective, be very damaging, and it can be really difficult to kind of think your way out of it. Unfortunately for the nervous system, that's not really something that you can think your way out of. It's an indication that there is already an insecurity there. So let's say you're not very secure with the way that you look, and you come in contact with somebody that kind of increases that insecurity. We oftentimes go into this space where we're listening to other people's validation and or non-validation, and it means something really bad about us, but many people walk around through a certain view and lens. So it might be because this person is rejecting you because he or she thinks that you're, too good for them, or they would prefer someone that doesn't have maybe the status that you do, or maybe it's a person that is threatened by the way that you take care of yourself. There are a lot of factors that are involved in rejection, and most of the time it doesn't even have to do with you. It has to do with what you personally offer to the world. It's not something that they necessarily are needing at the time. So I'm going to give an example, a personal example. So a lot of my previous relationships have been extremely toxic, and I would pick people based on if they had an ailment, usually along the lines of a disorder, or they were like an alcoholic, or somebody that wasn't very secure with who they were as a person. So I would pick people that looked in a disarray to feel important about myself, so that I could quote unquote fix them. So to me, a person that looked kept, or like really like well put, I wouldn't say somebody that just somebody that looked kind of a mess, but not like in a bad way. Like I wouldn't consider people ugly. I wouldn't say that. It's more of they just looked like somebody that just had a lot of psychological problems. And I would pick these people in my previous relationships because I wanted to help them, because I could relate to these people in my own life. I felt very disarrayed. I felt just not centered. So I really wanted to help these people in terms of helping myself. So when you become rejected, it usually is not an indication of you. It's an indication something about the other person. Now, on the other hand, when it comes to hypersexuality, I think that a lot of relationships start out being really hypersexual, and then the people really don't realize that they have that much in common. This has little to do with hobbies and more to do with character as a person. So I think that if you're a person that really kind of has a stigma around hypersexuality, or just feels like they feel like shame about it, understand that it is an indication that something needs to be wounded and mended in your life. And I will also leave some links for some helpful tips and guidance in the description box below. But I just wanted to share that with you guys, and I love you, and I hope that you have a beautiful day, and I will see you on my next video. Hello, thank you so much for joining me today, and thank you so much for being here. I would like to offer you a variety of content that I have, and I've been working on this content for a few years now. I do have individual sessions that I offer on Zoom, and a portion of sessions go to a human in need. Also, I have a variety of articles, and I have a Spotify as well. For each and every person that has subscribed to my channel, thank you so much, and I really look forward to connecting with you.